All right, well, good evening, whether you're watching this recording later or you're hanging out with us live. My name is Corey McNeil. I am the product manager for the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction for both Canvas and Go Open NC. We are very excited to have you with us this evening, whether you're hanging out with us, like I said, watching the recording later or hanging out with us tonight. We have some awesome ladies from Instructure with us. They're going to walk us through some fantastic features and one of my favorite things about Canvas, and that is Mastery Path. So ladies, I'll let you introduce yourselves and then take it away.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Lorianne Stickler. I am a Canvas Learning Associate, and I am here with Kristen. And Kristen, you want to introduce yourself? Better you than me?
Sure. Hey everyone, my name is Kristen Roberts. I am Lorianne's colleague and I'm a principal learning consultant with Canvas. And I'm here to help out wherever is needed.
Yes, Kristen is the Mastery Paths guru. So I'm going to take it away. And if I say anything that's crazy, Kristen's going to say, well, let's talk about this. So I'm super happy to have her here. Thanks for helping me out, Kristen. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. You guys see my Canvas course over here?
We can.
Okay, perfect. I actually am going to start off, however, with a PowerPoint, but as well. Okay, so you should see the personalized learning with Mastery Paths PowerPoint in front of you. Hopefully you see that. If not, stop me and we'll figure out what went awry. All right, so as Corey said, we're here to talk about Mastery Paths in Canvas and how it can relate and support personalized learning. So let's talk about our agenda tonight. So we're going to talk about just a quick overview of what is personalized learning. You know, what is the definition? What does it mean? It can mean different things for different people in different instances. You know, it truly is personalized in nature. Why personalized learning? What are the benefits for personalized learning? How do they relate to the ISTE standards for teachers? And then how can we utilize Canvas Mastery Paths to implement personalized learning in our Canvas courses? And then, of course, we'll end with a Q&A and hopefully you get all the information that you need. So that being said, let's get started. All right, so thinking about personalized learning, what is personalized learning? As I said, there are different definitions for different people. My personal definition, the one that I use when I work with teachers, you know, across the state, is personalized learning is an instructional approach that empowers students to build ownership over their learning. And that's really where I see the benefit for personalized learning. It's the fact that students are now owning their learning rather than the teacher being the driving force behind it, right? So you can see here on this slide, there's, you know, a couple of keywords. It's tailored to the student's preference and interest. You know, the pace is at the student's unique need. You know, you have the ability to customize or differentiate the learning for each student. I think that that is amazing. And when we get into the Mastery Connect part of personalizing learning, it's a total game changer. So I'm excited to talk to you about that. There are a couple of links I have here, and I'll put those links in the chat as we go through. I'll also send them to Corey afterwards so that he can share them out. One thing I would like to share is an educational elements video on personalized learning. So hopefully it comes up on my screen. Shape. I put this in Canvas Studio. Education Elements is a vendor that I've personally worked with on 3 or 4 projects throughout my career. And they really have a great definition and way of explaining personalized learning. It's a small little video. If it's okay, I'll go ahead and show it. And I hope I shared my, well, I'm not sure if I did. It's WebEx. I'm not used to WebEx. So let me know if you can't hear it.
Yeah, we're not getting the audio.
Can you hear it?
No.
Oh no. Okay. Hang on. What did I
So
do wrong?
when you go to share your screen, it's a weird spot in WebEx. I want to say like it's in the upper right-hand corner of the window that pops up.
Okay. In
Um,
just a second. I'm going to go back to my.
no worries. It's always fun in WebEx.
It is. And when you go from one platform to another. Um, stop share. Here we go. So I'm going to stop share. And then we're going to share again. And you said I need to go where? I'm sorry, Corey.
The window that pops up once you start the like select which screen you want. I think it's a checkbox in the upper right hand corner if it's on the same platform. I know you're on a PC, but
see, share your computer audio. If you just kind of hover, it'll eventually tell you.
well, how about that?
Perfect. Okay, so let's make sure we're there. Okay, can you guys see the video again?
Yep.
See if I can. Well, basically, they're just the beginning of it. They're talking about, what is personalized learning. We're a little confused. We've all been there. They're just kind of leveling the playing field for you.
This can happen when you give the exact same lesson in the exact same format to every student, regardless of their individual learning styles. This is where personalized learning comes in. PL can help make learning more relevant to students and provides the flexibility that allows learning and the demonstration of that learning to be meaningful for every student. In this video, we're defining what personalized learning means, giving you an overview of what it can look like in your classroom, and describing the impact it can have. Hi, I'm Courtney Flanders. Welcome to our personalized learning series on our channel. Each week in October and November, we'll be sharing more about what personalized learning is and what it can look like in your classroom. If this is right up your alley and you want to learn more, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified each time a new video is up. So what exactly is personalized learning? At Education Elements, we define personalized learning as an instructional approach that empowers students to build ownership of their learning. This means that educators target instruction, foster collaboration and creativity, facilitate student goal setting and reflection, and design flexible learning experiences, all while providing a nurturing learning environment. Whoa, that sounds like a lot, and we're going to break down each one of those components. What I just shared is what we call the core four. We use this to identify the practices, mindsets, knowledge, and priorities that best personalize learning for students. Again, what's powerful here is that when you shift to personalized learning, you're moving away from teacher-directed lessons toward a learning experience that is centered around the student. This means that you as the educator need to have a deep understanding of your students' strengths, needs, identities, backgrounds, and learning styles. In the upper left-hand corner of our core four of personalized learning, you'll see student reflection and goal setting. Practicing reflection and goal setting can help students make connections between the choices they make in class and their learning goals. There's tons of ways to do this in the classroom, but one way you can start is by making time for simple prompting questions like these at the end of a lesson or after an assessment. Next to student reflection and goal setting, we have targeted instruction. This means that in addition to being able to articulate what instruction they receive and why, students have some say over the instruction they receive based on their data, preferences, and passions. Often this begins with teachers doing most of the work to target instruction, but as you and your students get more comfortable, you'll see students taking the agency to advocate for themselves, the instruction they need, the resources that would best support them, and the ways they're going to learn best. In a classroom, this might look like a math teacher gathering data to give her information about an upcoming lesson. With that data, the teacher can see who hasn't yet mastered the necessary concepts to be successful in this upcoming standard. Once she has that data, she can pull students for a small group, bringing them into a mini lesson to build up the necessary foundational skills in order for them to be successful. In all of this, students know where they are and what instruction they're receiving, and they also know where they have opportunities for choice so that they can begin to take agency and ownership over their learning. Now, sometimes there's a misconception that personalized learning only involves students working independently for the majority of the time. But in reality, personalized learning is filled with collaboration and creativity. It encourages students to work with one another, share ideas, create new solutions and projects, provide feedback to one another, and in the process, learn more about themselves. We all know that the students don't have to take the exact same path to get to their destination. This is why a flexible path and pace is another part of the core four. Students learn in different ways, so when teachers leverage materials and resources to provide options to students in the ways that they learn, the path that they take, the pace that they go, it provides an opportunity to really personalize the learning for students. No one instructional technology or material is going to do this alone. It's all about the environment that you set up and the opportunities that you have for students to engage in different types of learning. You might have seen a pattern in everything I just shared. At the center of it all is student ownership. That's ultimately the goal of personalized learning. This is done by building positive relationships with students, and choosing the right strategies, format, and balance of components will foster ownership of the learning with your students. We barely touched the surface of what it means to personalize learning in this video. Subscribe to our channel for our personalized learning series. We'll dive deeper into each element of the core 4, student ownership, and nurturing learning environments, and we'll show you exactly what it can look like in the classroom in our upcoming episodes.
Right, I'm gonna stop it there. I like that video because for me, it level sets what the what personalized learning is, right? It level sets for the student and for the teacher, excuse me, for the teacher, the technology coach, the school admin. It really level sets the different components of personalized learning, and personalized learning really can take on different forms. So what we're here today is not to obviously orient you to personalized learning, but we are here to show you how Canvas can support personalized learning through Mastery Paths. We have another video or another link here that is actually a document that I'll give to Corey, and you guys can read on that. Personalized learning, what you need to know, just some information that will help you to really get into a little deeper dive as far as personalized learning goes. So let's think about what do you know about personalized learning? And normally we would have, you know, a lot of back and forth regarding what your thoughts of what comes to mind with personalized learning. I know that we don't have a whole lot of people in chat right now, so maybe Corey, I'll just ask for your thoughts real quick. What comes to mind when you think of personalized learning?
Well, I think that video actually kind of hit on it very well in the aspect of it. It can be initially very nebulous if you're not grounded in what you as a group, whether that be a PLC or a school or a district, what you really define it for what it means for you and your students. Because I think it can be much like many of the pedagogical things that we talk about now, can have some differentiation with them, and so I think you really have to drill down into what it means for you and your students, because it could mean, um, giving everyone what they need when they need it, or we can talk about what tools and resources we want to utilize to accomplish those things. Because just because we're here talking about campus and how MasteryPass can accomplish that, there are certainly many other platforms and things like that that you or your district may have access to.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for that information. And Wanda, I saw something in the chat really quickly, but to be honest, I've lost my chat. So could you open up your mic and just tell me what you put, if that's okay? I think it
Just,
will. Go
just
ahead. I'm
that
sorry.
students being able to make their own choices and go at their own
Yes.
speed. And I was agreeing with Corey about defining in your PLC what it means to that school and that school base and that building.
That's perfect. Yeah, thank you for that. And again, at the center, like they said in that little diagram, at the center is students taking ownership for their learning, right? So big stuff. Great stuff. Thank you for your support on that. All right, so let's talk about why personalized learning. So technology, when employed properly and meaningfully, it can help educators deliver differentiated or individualized and personalized instruction, right? It can help facilitate a timely interventional response. It can even involve parents or parents, guardians, family members more into their children's learning. It can empower school leaders with the data that's important in today's world, with the data to support teachers and either break down problems or even make those problems more complex based on the individual needs of the student. And to me, that's really it, based on the individual needs of the students. And looking at all of these little keywords here, those are all of the things that we're doing as teachers every day to try to make a difference and help our students learn. So moving on to the next slide, it's always important to bring in the research, right? So our work with using mastery paths in Canvas around personalized learning is directly tied to ISTE standards. And in particular, it's tied to the designer as well as the facilitator. So let's take a look at the designer really quick. So you can see here that how easily your work as a teacher inside Canvas to design a Canvas course aligns with the ISTE designer, right? I see some keywords. I see create, adapt, personalized learning. I see independent and authentic learning. I see creating innovative digital learning environments. Most importantly, these are the things that we're doing as we use Canvas anyway. We're doing them already, right? And as we start to use the tools within inside Canvas to help us really master that and to make things easier, that's where Mastery Paths will come in. So after you've built the course and you've aligned it to the designer standard for ISTE, thinking about the facilitation, right? So the direct alignment to the ISTE facilitator standard for teachers is really evident in, you can see those keywords again, right? Managing the use of technology and student learning strategies in a face-to-face, a hybrid, or even a fully virtual environment. That's what we do as teachers as we're using our Canvas courses to facilitate learning, right? We're creating learning opportunities to challenge our students. Those are the things that we're doing. So for me, it's nice to see that my work as a teacher is directly aligned to ISTE, because I know that that's really the leading force in impacting education and moving my technology integration into a meaningful way. So that's really what I want you to think about as we jump into Mastery Paths today. So let's talk about how, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt
Yeah.
because I love it when you're incorporating ISTE standards. That's awesome. And I think those are also directly, so we have some North Carolina specific things that we call the digital learning competencies that are derived from those ISTE standards.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with ISTE, North Carolina teachers, you're probably familiar with the digital learning competencies. And, you know, that's part of the professional development that a lot of our teachers go through to receive those DLC credits. But a lot of that is derived at the ISTE framework and the work that they have done in the research that's there. So there's direct alignment there with that and Mastery Paths as well.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you for giving that structure, because sometimes if I'm not in North Carolina, I may not say the right term, right? So I really appreciate that. And it's nice. I know when I'm learning something new, I get nervous, like, I don't know if I know this, but now you've just said you actually do, right? You actually are familiar. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right. So personalized learning, student ownership, students taking direct responsibility for their learning. All of that in theory is amazing. And then sometimes we get in front of the students or we start our plan and we're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Well, the gift I have for you today is Mastery Paths, because Mastery Paths will actually make it so easy for you to hone your craft in regard to personalized learning. You're probably already doing it right now, right? I have a certain group of kids that I have to differentiate and do this for. I have another student that I need to do this for. Mastery Paths is going to help you to put everything into your Canvas course, plan for everyone, and personalize learning as the students determine what they need. It's amazing. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into it. So what I'd like to do, I'm sorry, let me go back a second. I'm going to show you, go through the PowerPoint, right? I want to show you from the PowerPoint what the general flow is. And then I'm going to go into a Canvas course and really model it for you. So just stick with me. If it feels overwhelming or just too much, this recording is going to be here for you to look at over and over again. I also have some links that I can share with you. And there are a lot of amazing teachers out there on YouTube that are doing amazing things with Mastery Paths. So let's take a look at Mastery Paths within your Canvas course. All right, so the first thing that you're going to do in order to enable Mastery Paths in your Canvas course is you're going to go to your Canvas course and you'll open it up, and I'll show you this in a few minutes. You're going to go to the settings, and then you're going to go to feature options. At that point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to enable Mastery Paths. Now, within a Canvas course, you only have to do that once. Once you've done it for that course, it's enabled, you're in good shape. But any other courses, let's say that you're a middle school teacher who maybe has 5 preps, and it means you have 5 different courses, you will need to enable Mastery Paths within those 5 courses in order to use it with students regarding personalized learning. All right, so I'll model that for you in just a couple of minutes. I just kind of want to go through the process, and then we'll hop into the live course and I'll show you how it works. So first thing is you're going to enable that within settings. After you enable it in settings, you're going to build your module like you normally do within Canvas, right? You're going to decide what your pre-assessment is. You're going to decide what assignments you have that go along with that pre-assessment and getting your students ready for the post-assessment. Because Mastery Paths is turned on, right? So now you're going to be able to associate each activity with mastery paths so that it will personalize the learning for the student. So there's kind of like a little list of things to do. Let's go through them again. So the first thing you're going to do when you're building your mastery path module is you're going to have everything built out ahead of time in a Canvas module. Your assignments, your quizzes, your discussions, your pre-assessment, your post-assessment. So you're just going to build it like you normally do. All right, get everything ready, put it in a module. Remember that for mastery paths, because we're aligning the mastery path to how the student demonstrates mastery on the pre-assessment. So you're always going to want to start with a quiz. My recommendation is to start with a quiz that is auto-graded, true, false, multiple choice, those kind of things, matching something that is you're not going to have to come in as the teacher and grade, because what's going to happen is the student is going to take the pre-assessment, and based on the student's pre-assessment grade, it's going to send them on their path. So what you see in this module right here, one student will not do everything. You're going to decide as the teacher, based on their score, what kinds of activities they will finish. After you have assigned and put your module together, you're always going to end your Mastery Path module with a post-test, right? So the pre-assessment gives us a starting place so we know what kind of background knowledge and skill set the student has. And then the post-assessment lets us know how much they learned and now they're demonstrating their mastery. Once you've put your module together and you have every assignment possible that you would need inside that module, what you will do is you'll go into the module requirements and you will set up the module requirements so that the students must complete all of the requirements and move through the requirements in a sequential order. Again, I'm going to model that for you, but I just wanted to give you that information. So I'm sure you're probably very familiar with setting up a module, probably even familiar with setting up module requirements, right? So we'll go through that live in just a moment. And then once your module is complete, you're going to turn on mastery paths within the module. Because the module is set up as a mastery path, it's not going to make the students go through everything that's in the module. All of the activities that are there for each level of understanding that the student demonstrated on the pre-assessment. And what will happen is it will assign the student certain activities based on the point value that you've added into the module. So one of the things that you want to do is, as you're setting up a discussion or an assignment or a quiz, you always want to allow that in mastery paths, and you'll see that in a couple of through it. You want to make sure that it's assigned, or it's a, I'm sorry, this is a page, forgive me. This is a page. So pages, I always forget pages. Pages you have to allow in mastery paths. So if you have a page that has information or maybe a video for the student to watch, at the very bottom of the page in edit, you want to make sure that you allow in mastery paths, because remember, it's going to choose which way the student goes, and you want to make sure that the student can see it. So for pages, you want to make sure that you always allow. For assignments, which is where I thought I was, you want to make sure that obviously you give it a due date, right? And then when you assign it, normally it'll say assign to everyone, or you can choose certain students or certain groups. What you want to do is you want to make sure that it's assigned to mastery paths. And then that will allow the proper flow to come through that you'll be setting up. Now, you might feel a little overwhelmed at this point. It might feel like you're herding cats, possibly. Something that we suggest as a best practice is just to sit down with a graphic organizer like what you see on the screen and plan out your module. Just write down what you want them to do. That's a perfect way to get started. So that way you can see the mapping in your head and you can know which way you want to go, right? So here's an example of a module, a grammar pre-assessment that you see. And in this module, you'll see that I have different point ranges, right? So my student comes in for the pre-assessment. He or she scores 0 to 20 points. These are the activities that the 0 to 20 point student is going to do. Obviously, that's a student that may need some reteaching or some tutoring. We have the point range from 34 to 20, or 20 to 34, I should say. This is your student that's kind of middle of the road about how he or she is doing on here. And maybe they need a couple of reteaching, but they're pretty good. They're pretty there. And then you have your 35 to 50 point student. That's a student that perhaps already understands the concept, they've mastered many of the prerequisite skills, they're ready to extend their learning, right? So you can see what happens is when I set up my module in Mastery Paths, I'm actually setting it up to start off for 3 different paths. So I'm differentiating my learning for my 3 students on how they score on the pre-assessment. So that's the best practice for planning. I also want to show you this one because I was doing some YouTubing last week, getting ready for this because it's been a while since I've used Mastery Paths. And I found this video and I was like, this is just brilliant. So the teachers were sharing how they give themselves, as the designer in Canvas, they give themselves some keywords: mild, medium, and spicy. Elementary teachers, I'm sure you've heard that around, right? Obviously for me, the mild means that, it's maybe not so difficult. Medium, it's in the middle, and then spicy, of course, is your extension activities. So as you're naming your activities, just to give yourself some kind of help in planning it, you could choose to add mild, medium, and spicy. You could also choose, I saw tutoring, practice, and challenge, which I thought was pretty cool, right? So I just gave examples: elementary students, intermediate, secondary students, professional learning opportunities for technology coaches. You could choose to set that up. And in thinking about the activities that I have in my module, right? When I go into Canvas, I might forget what I named it, or is that name similar to another name? So for me getting started, I think the mild, medium, and spicy is a good way to get started. Tutoring, practice, challenge, another one. Just kind of wanted to throw that out there because sometimes it can get a little overwhelming when we as teachers are not 100% sure how we're planning it. That might be something you could use as well. So once you've created your activities in your module, then what you're going to do is you're going to go into that first prerequisite quiz, that pretest, and you're going to actually decide, as the designer of this course, which assignment or which activity goes where, right? So you can see here, looking at this example, this is 0 to 20 points. So if a student takes this first assignment, the pretest, and they score 0 to 20 points, you can see here the teacher has said, okay, I want you to do the grammar with Einstein and the writing experiences and the paragraph writing and language review and similar spelling. I want you to do all of these. Obviously, we know as teachers, we need to give that student enough time to build their background knowledge and get them so that they feel confident to complete the post-test with fidelity. There's a little arrow here pointing at the and sign, and the and sign is there because in our Canvas module, we're going to set the prerequisites. We're going to say that the student must complete everything in the module, and the student must complete this in the order in which we provided, okay? So while you're adding these into your mastery path, it's actually putting the and because of your prerequisites that you put on your module inside Canvas. As we look up, you can see, 20 to 35 points. This is your middle of the road, right?
And then Lorian, sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Also, you could change the and to an or.
And the way you would do that is if you don't check them, right, to do everything.
But you just click that. If you click the and, it changes it into an or, so they can do the grammar with Einstein and the writing experiences, or the grammar and usage spelling. So that would close off one of the others. So still with those prerequisites and requirements, it will make them do whichever choice they pick, bringing in that student choice.
Kristen just taught me something. I never realized that. Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate that. That's why we have 2 of us on here. Great. Okay, so you just click on it and then it'll go to an or. Beautiful. All right. So that's an example of what the path looks like, right? And I'm going to dive in deep and show you that in just a couple of minutes. So you're finished setting up your mastery path. You have your module requirements and you're ready. And you can see here, this is what it looks like as the teacher. You can see here you have mastery paths assigned to this module. You have the different point range, right? Everything is published. And this is everything that is within that mastery path module. Everything that you have here is an opportunity for the student to interact with, depending on how he or she scores when they take that pre-assessment. In the student view, it would look something like this. It would have the grammar pre-assessment. Notice here before the student interacts, that it's locked until there's a score, and it's locked until the pre-assessment is graded. So again, another best practice is just simply to make sure that pre-assessment is an auto-graded feature so that the student can take the pre-assessment and then get started on his or her pathway. Here's another example of one of the pathways, and you can see there that this pathway was actually put in so that the student's doing one more activity, right? And then the third pathway here, the 34 to 20 points, you can see that there's some extension activities. So again, the great part about this is bringing it back to the personalized learning. The student now is taking ownership of his or her learning as they take that pre-assessment, recognizing that how I score or the level of mastery that I demonstrate is determined upon what assignments I get, right? And it's all done in an automated fashion through Mastery Paths, which is amazing. All right, so considerations we're going to come back to. Let's dive into Mastery Paths. Wrong. To my, thought I had it up, but I must have rid of it. All right, so here's my Mastery Paths course. So I'm going to open it up, and I've actually, for the sake of time, I've put a module together for you, and it actually, I've used the mild, medium, and spicy. I added here the little emoji here, hoping that, you know, thinking about my students, you know, do I want them to see the word mild, medium, spicy? I could decide to name this and just take the mild out, right? And I could just have the little chili pepper. I was trying to make it colorful, but I don't know why, but it's not colorful until I click into the name, and you can see here. So let's say that you did not want to use mild, medium, spicy, but you still needed some way to alert yourself to where that assignment fits in your mastery path. So if you take out the word mild and you know that there's one pepper there, you know that obviously it's a mild, right? So, okay, I have my module. I'm ready to bring mastery paths and use it with my students. First thing I needed to do was to go into my course and go to settings. From settings, I'm going to go into my feature previews. I think it looks a little different for me, Kristen. Does it? Is it the same title?
Nope, you have Mastery Paths in there now.
Yeah, I do. I just was wondering if feature previews was the same title.
That changed a little bit ago, so.
A different, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Mastery Paths, you can see that it's toggled on. I just need to make sure it's enabled. The green check is there. I'm good to go. Once that happens, remember you do it once for the one course, and then you don't have to do it again in settings. So then I go in, I create my module, which I created it for the sake of time right now. I created it for you. So I create my module. Remember that I always want to start with a pretest. So taking a look at my pretest after I've created it, and this is just a mock-up, right? I don't actually have real questions. I just have questions so that I could have points. So I'm in my course, or I'm in my pre-assessment. I'm going to make sure that assign to, if you remember, just as a default, basically it assigns to everyone. So you want to make sure that you're assigning it to Mastery Paths. Make sure that it has a due date, obviously, which I should have done.
Lorianne, this first one could be assigned to everybody, but then the following ones could be assigned to Mastery Paths.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that.
All right. It could be either.
Either way.
But I keep this one as everyone, and then all of the following ones within the paths
that makes
actually
sense.
assigned to.
Yeah, that makes sense because everyone's going to do it. Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
So you have your pretest, right? Then you have your assignments, your pages, your discussions, whatever it may be. When you're editing these, you want to make sure that you are editing it so that everything after the pretest is assigned to mastery paths. So I left this one everyone. So just by default, that's what it is in Canvas. So I'm going to click off of everyone. I'm going to assign it to mastery paths, and I'm going to save. Now I'm getting this little warning sign because I haven't actually set up my paths yet. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. Go back to my module, which just for me at the moment happens to be my home screen. I'm going to make sure that my medium is assigned to mastery paths. I left the first two everywhere. Oh, I did assign that to mastery paths. Okay. So I'm making sure that everything that I have here is assigned to mastery paths. As I come down, I'm just going to check the third just to make sure. Just in case. Yeah, I need to assign this one to mastery paths.
And this is a very important step that I know that I have worked personally with teachers, that they get their mastery path built and they're all excited and they roll it out with their kids, and then it doesn't work, and we start troubleshooting and we see that it's these little things that can catch you up.
Yep, it's exactly it. And you may think, oh, I already did it. I assigned it to mastery paths, and then you realize that you didn't. So it's always good just to check it, right?
And don't be like me where it's spent for a page specifically. I spent like 30 minutes just trying to figure it out why it wasn't showing up in the path. On a page, you have to go in and edit and mark that checkbox, and then it'll be perfect.
Yep. And I think you usually only do that once and spend a lot of time doing that, and then you remember, right? We always have to learn by the pain usually and go, oh, I can't believe I just spent 25 minutes trying to figure that out. All right, so you have everything set up to mastery paths. Now let me ask you, Kristen, the last quiz, the final post test, do you set that for everyone, or do you set that to mastery paths as well?
So if that's going to be for everybody, you leave that for everyone.
Okay.
So only the ones to mastery paths that are actually going in that path.
And I believe also if it's set up for everyone, you're able to push that grade, sync that grade into your grade book, right?
Yes. One of the considerations is anything that's just assigned to mastery paths cannot be pushed back to gradebook. Or so if you're doing any gradebook pass back in your districts, then any of those ones that you just saw Lorianne assigning to mastery paths, because it's not assigned to everybody, will be. But we have a couple workarounds that Lorianne will share in those considerations too.
And then also I think my thoughts are, as a teacher, if I assign the pre-test to everyone and then the post-test to everyone, this is really their time to practice, right? This really goes along with the personalized learning philosophy of everything. So maybe these things wouldn't be graded, right? I want this to be a place where they're not feeling like they're being evaluated. You know how it is. If an administrator comes into your room and you're teaching, am I being evaluated? Like immediately I freeze, right? But if I know that my administrator is in my room walking around just visiting, I'm not as nervous. I'm able to be myself and to really take those risks. So I think that's something to consider. All right, so you have your module built. You have the appropriate assignments, quizzes, whatever it is, pages assigned to mastery paths. Then you want to come in and you want to edit your module. Suggestion is to set up some requirements, right? We want the students to complete all the requirements, and we want them to move through the requirements in a sequential order, because that's going to help. If I am a student who gets put in the middle path, then it's going to allow me to take my test, go through the pages and assignments and discussions that I need to, and then it's going to mandate that I take that post-assessment, right? If I don't say complete in order, they can actually skip around and go pre-test, post-test, and not even really focus. I believe is as how it was initially explained to me. So I'm going to go ahead and add the items here. So I have the pre-test, then I'm just going to come through and I'm going to remember this is my mild with the little chili peppers. Then I'm going to, whoops, I need to say submit the assignment, Then I'm going to add my medium.
And as Lorianne's doing this too, I know one of my first questions when I figured this out, well, not all students are assigned to this. Will it affect those students? It will not. It will only affect the ones they're assigned to. So it's not going to hold them back from anything if they aren't assigned to the spicy one or anything like that.
Come down to our post test. Okay, so here's your module, right? You have your water cycle pretest. This is where the emojis really help me, or the mild, medium, spicy. I know I have it in an order. This is the reflection that I want everyone to do, and then the show what you know, which is the final assignment. My students are completing all of the requirements, and they are moving through in a sequential order. Then I'm going to update my module. Now you can see here that I have the requirements here as completing all items, right? So the next thing that I'm going to do is actually set up my paths. And the way that I do that is I go into my pretest. I'm going to click edit. And then I'm going to go, since I have mastery paths enabled, I'm going to click on mastery paths. And you can see here that they've set up the amounts for me. I can change these amounts if let's say I wanted to put this up to, I don't know, 6 points and move this up to 9. I could do that at this point, right? So now I'm looking at my mild, my medium, and my spicy, right? So let me go ahead and click the plus, and I'm going to come over and I'm going to look for my mild. And let's say that maybe I want to add the medium in there. I could, it kind of depends on what's going on. But I think for the sake of just keeping it simple, this is for my mild, the student who scores 0 to 4 points. I'm going to have the mild Quizlet. I want them to do the reflection, and I want them to complete the post-test. You can see very easily that path was added. I come into my medium here, reflection, and I want test. And I'm keeping this super simple just to explain it to you, right? I think it's good just to see it super clear and just, I mean, we always want to put so many activities and pages when we could, but let's just keep it super simple here. So here's my medium. And then of course my challenge or my spicy, I'm going to add, okay, there's the check mark, the reflection, and the post test. And so you can see there I have, because of my little emojis and the mild, medium, spicy, it's helping me to realize, okay, mild 0 to 4 points, the medium 4 to 7, and then 7 to 10. That those are more of the challenging things. And then I'm going to click save. Kristen, did I miss anything?
Can you show the or part? I just think that's
the or, yes, thank you. No, it is actually.
Yeah, that's actually one of my another ways, because really you have the 3 categories, but this is also a way you can differentiate within the path or personalize to give students choice to say, that let's say the reflection and the Nearpod assignment are very similar, academically. So I'm going to give them the choice of completing any one of those 3 things to show their mastery.
Yeah, that's perfect. The may do must do kind of model of that. That's perfect. So the way that I did that was just simply clicking on the and it becomes an or. So save. Going back to my module. Oh, let me go back to there a second because I think this is important. Let's take a look at what you see here. Notice here, you can see the mastery paths breakdown, right? So as students are completing the activity, you'll be able to see where they're scoring. Like, was my pretest too difficult? Was my pretest too easy, right? And I believe, isn't there a breakdown of who scored where, right? Yeah, so that's super powerful. Before you even go into SpeedGrader, you can see that, right? So it's a nice way just to get a quick view of where my students are in regard to this module. I love that. So at this point, my module is set up. You can see that it's associated with mastery paths. Let's go ahead and I think if I take a student view, I'm not going to see much because my student hasn't completed anything, right? But remember what we talked about, that it would be locked, right? So we have the water cycle pretest. It's locked until I, the student, come in and actually answer the questions. Once I do that, let me pretend to take the quiz and see what happens. It's going to be that person that, let's see how I did. Okay, so I scored 0 out of 10. So when I go back to my modules, see I'm now down at the mild, right? So these are the things that I need to do in order to demonstrate my mastery. So that's how it works. It's amazing. It really, really, really is amazing. I love how easily the technology is able to be added and impact what I'm doing. As long as I am making sure that I am I guess prepared, right? Prepared for, oh, I thought I was on that slide. Let me go to the end. Prepared and making sure that I have made my plans and I am ready to move forward with my mastery path organization. Putting it in Canvas is easy. So considerations, thinking about what are the kinds of things that I need to make sure that I do so that I'm not spending 20 to 25 minutes, like Kristen said, trying to figure out why this page isn't showing, right? So I want to make sure that all of my content is in the same module. I want to get my module ready, just like you do now. I want to make sure that my pages are designed to work in Mastery Paths. That's probably the biggest issue that we forget because we're not assigning a page to anyone, so we don't think about going down and marking mastery paths, right? I want to make sure that my assignments and quizzes are assigned to mastery path. And then if I'm using grade pass back, mastery path will not pass back because they're not assigned to all students. So if you are using grade pass back to push to your gradebook of record, what you can do, still use mastery path, is you can have the pre-assessment open to everyone, the post-test open to everyone. Those are the grades that you could push to your gradebook of record, and then consider the activities in the middle really just an opportunity for the students to learn, right? I think that's the best of both worlds, personally. Let's see. So, oh, this is the part that always frustrates me a little bit. Files, external URLs, and external tool module items cannot be used as conditional items in MasteryPath. Kristen, do you want to like explain it? You always explain it better than I do. Explain what that means.
Yeah, so we talked about getting our modules preset and everything. And sometimes when we put in our modules, we might use that drop down and go to that last item and use an external tool, maybe an external website, or even a file to put directly in our module. Those things will not show up when you're trying to create a mastery path. So just a suggestion for that one, put those items on a page or even in an assignment. So create if you have a Google Doc that you're trying to put in as an external tool, just open the page and put it in through the rich content editor. Same if you're trying to use a studio video, put it in a page of Canvas through the rich content editor. Also with a outside URL, put it on a page, just a suggestion, so it will work in the module. Just those items like where you see the links and the paper clips in the module, those won't actually work in Mastery Paths.
So if you have an external URL that you want to take them to, actually just put that onto the page they can click on.
Yep,
okay,
that's it.
Awesome, thank you for that. So again, if you choose to include a page in Mastery Path, page will only be accessible within a Mastery Path and not within the course pages of the course. So it can't be in both places at the same time, I think is basically what you're saying, right? So I guess the last thing is to capture evidence of mastery of content in the gradebook. This is interesting. Okay, so Kristen might have to jump in on this one too, because I currently do not use Mastery Paths because of Grade Pass Back. So I only have experience with it as playing with it outside of the instance in which I use. So you want to do the last one, Kristen?
Yeah, sure. Actually, in the gradebook too, you'll notice that the students who are not assigned to some of the items within the mastery path, like if I'm at the spicy level, a student, and then somebody else was at the mild level, you'll look in the gradebook and I won't get any assigned or anywhere to put in that grade for me at that mild level. So it's going to be completely grayed out. You're not even going to have to press the excuse button for them. It's not going to be assigned to them.
Yep.
Oh, you're still in student view.
Yeah, I'm a student. Yeah. I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah. So another way to do that, if you're not getting a post assessment too, completely up to you. You could put an assignment at the end. Maybe you want to give participation points for students going through the module. You could put an assignment at the end, just call it Mastery Pass Participation, and make it an on-paper submission. You're able to go through that grade book, and I'll see that test student, okay, they did the assignment, but they haven't done anything else. Maybe I'll give them a low grade in just that grade book area, and then I could pass that one back to the grade book. But that's just a workaround if you're trying to get some items into that grade book. I think that Corey and Lorianne said it great earlier. It's a great practice area for students to help level them up too. So that's just one workaround that's possible if you're wanting to give those participation points for students.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that so eloquently. That essentially is Mastery Paths in a nutshell, my friends. What kind of questions do you guys have? Any questions? Wanda, do you have any questions? Or Corey, any questions, comments, suggestions?
I'll just say, in my experience, it is a very, very awesome and powerful way to personalize that. It can be a lot of work up front, but the great thing about Canvas is the ability to copy it over from semester to semester or year to year. I do think that having all of it prepared that first time and starting with something small is the right way to go, because the more things you have in the module, the more complex it can get, the more confusing it can get. And so I always recommended when teachers that I worked with start with something small, maybe just 4 or 5 items in that module that you want your students to experience, and a learning opportunity for you and them. But I think you guys did a great way of explaining it, and I think it's a great opportunity to, like I said, just very simply break it out for students.
And I think that once you do this a few times, right, for you and the students, then it becomes second nature, and you can actually move into the larger modules, right, to really get in. And Crystal, I see that you arrived. I didn't see you here. I'm sorry. Do you have any questions or anything, Crystal, that you want to share? Crystal's like, please don't call me out.
We're just starting to use Canvas. We're going to be putting a Foundations in Math 1 course into Canvas for next semester. We've been using Edgenuity, and so we're pushing out of that and going into Canvas. And so we just did our skeleton, our sandbox course today. And so tomorrow we're adding a little bit more to it. So to see this program is exactly what we need, especially for our math students, because they can pre-test and not have to go into things and then do things that they need practice on. And so it helps us, because we had to take a lot of things out before, the warm-ups and the extra activities and things like that for students, and now we won't have to do that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Makes it a little bit easier for us.
That's wonderful.
And Crystal, I'm just going to say, that's my email address. Literally, my whole job is to support districts in their integration of Canvas. So if you have questions, concerns, you need me just to hop on a call to look at something, that's literally my job. And
awesome. Thank you.
I love it. So if there's anything that I can do to help you guys getting that rolled out, that's what I'm here for. So yes, and Wanda, same for you, your school, your district. That's my job. Anybody watching this reporting, my job for North Carolina is to support you guys in your use of Canvas. The other thing I want to say also with that Foundations course, that's probably going to save your district some money with using that course and not Edgenuity and a paid product and things of that nature. That's
100%. And I like that we're going to have more of a hands-on experience with it and build our own curriculum and not have to use what's given to us, because it does pigeonhole our students to be learning the same way, every single one of them, or doing the same activities, when not every child needs that. And so as a mom with a child that's an EC student, I appreciate it, because I know that this would help us to see the parts where she does do well and the other parts that she needs the more support. So she would get that, and she will be going into Math 1. And so this would be a great way to see it work for my own child, as well as how my students will be utilizing it. So thank you guys for supporting this and to work with it so that we can do better with it, because we have to do better for our students.
Absolutely.
North Carolina is the place to be, apparently, Kristen.
Right?
Wow.
Come on down.
Actually, it would be up for me, but yeah,
Oh.
that's amazing. It's amazing.
I was a science teacher. I was never good at directions.
Well, I never told you I was in
Well, you
Florida
just like
either,
to put things together and see if it does work then.
That's absolutely right.
that's it.
I'm
Test
not
it
a
out.
science person, and it's funny because people think because I'm math, I'm science too. No, I want nothing to do with science. I like history. But don't give me English either, because I don't word very well.
Well, ladies, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and we'll say to people watching this recording later, thank you for joining us. We'll have some resources that are linked below. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out and we can help you any way we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.